All right, last video. So we've talked about the nervous system as a whole. We know the cells in it, we know the different tissues and organs, we've talked about the cranial nerves, spinal nerves, and reflex arc. Now let's dive into the weeds a little more on how the nervous system works. From a functional perspective, the nervous system can be broken down into two parts: the autonomic and the somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is easy. This is the stuff that we control. If you want to walk, we think walk, and then off we go. Anything that we can control falls into the somatic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system covers the things that we can't control, or they happen automatically. Certain things are actually controlled by both the autonomic and the somatic nervous system. Things like breathing. You can control it, but it happens automatically if you forget. It's probably a good thing that we have this system. Can you imagine trying to remember to tell your heart to beat or your stomach to digest constantly, 24 hours a day? You'd never be able to sleep. So you've got the somatic and the autonomic nervous system. And that autonomic nervous system can be broken up again into two more divisions: the sympathetic or adrenergic nervous system and the parasympathetic or cholinergic system. The sympathetic system is what we commonly call the flight or fight response. And its job is to get us moving and running. Historically or evolutionary perspective, it was when danger showed up. It increases our heart rate, respiratory rate, causes the airways in our lungs to dilate so we can breathe better. It causes the blood vessels in our body to constrict and force more blood into the big muscle groups, like in our legs and arms, and away from areas like our stomach. We don't really need to digest when we're running for our lives. On the flip side, the parasympathetic system is the rest and digest system. Slows us down, relaxes the heart rate, causes blood vessels to relax, and increases digestion. While this is part of the autonomic nervous system, it happens automatically. It can definitely be controlled voluntarily if you know how to do it. So let's imagine you're playing basketball. You start running, you start working up a sweat, and you really, really want to win. So you start pushing yourself a little harder. As soon as you made that decision to start playing basketball, your sympathetic system kicked in. Blood started moving faster, your breathing increased. All right, game on. Now that the game's over, though, you decide you want to just relax, have a rest. Turn on that parasympathetic system, let your blood vessels relax, and then go digest a meal. Here's another example of where it can be helpful. I'm sure at some point in your careers or in your profession, you're going to have to give a presentation or talk to a bunch of people. That can be pretty nerve-wracking. If you know how these nerves are controlled and how these systems work, you can actually kind of trick them into calming you down. We get nervous when our sympathetic system gets turned on. So if we can figure out how to turn on the parasympathetic system, we can relax ourselves. One trick: take a deep breath and hold it. Let that pressure build up in your chest a little bit and then let it out. By putting the pressure in your chest, you're stimulating nerves that affect the parasympathetic system and can actually slow down your heart rate. All right, so some more on the specifics of this system, and this should help you kind of understand how it works. The sympathetic system is controlled mostly from your spinal cord, particularly in the thoracic region. There's a big chain of nerves sitting next to your spine called a ganglion. And this ganglion acts as the in-between between the spinal cord and all the organs that affect the sympathetic nervous system. The neurotransmitter, that's the chemical that gets sent out in the synapse, that is used in the preganglion, so that's the synapse between the spinal cord and the ganglion, and in the postganglion, the space between the ganglion and the effective organ, is norepinephrine. So now we switch over and we look at the parasympathetic side. It's controlled by a combination of the brainstem and the sacrum. And there's actually a few cranial nerves involved in the parasympathetic nervous system. It has a ganglion, just like in the sympathetic system. Preganglion, so the space between the spinal cord or the brain and that ganglion, the neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. Postganglion, it's just like the sympathetic system, and it uses norepinephrine.